To me, it feels like a sort of mental illness.
I don't feel good. I don't feel good, but it's a rush. It's like an adrenaline rush.
It takes your esteem away, your confidence. It's not normal to be like I am. It's not normal.
I remember a tremendous rush leaving the store, a tremendous high.
There is an illness which is sandwiched between criminality and deviant behaviour.
There's something that happens and you feel this need, this tremendous need to go out there and do it, and it just escalates as the years pass.
A secret addiction which is often impossible to detect unless caught.
It was really less about the object and about the feeling of the stealing.
A behaviour found all over the world.
It just became into a spiral where I just couldn't get out, even though I wanted to.
An impulse which knows no economic boundaries.
I've always had a high-paying job. I just always had plenty of money, even cash. I got caught one time with $500 cash in my purse.
Not bound by race or gender nor age.
People my age, it's not a thing that you should do. It's something that I'm not very proud of. I'm ashamed of it.
In December 2001, the actress Winona Ryder was caught by surveillance cameras walking out with hats, handbags and more. She had stolen nearly $6,000 worth of designer merchandise from a store in Beverly Hills, California. It's a moral puzzle as to why a high-profile, successful and rich celebrity would try to steal. But she's not alone in this behaviour. Shoplifting. We've all done it. In fact, by some accounts, 90% of us have done it at least once. Why do we do it? And why do some of us do it over and over again?
I have tried to find out why I steal for so long. 21 is when I started seeking help for my addiction to stealing. And every doctor, every counselor that I've ever gone to would just tell me to stop. Only way I can describe it is as a compulsion. It's I feel compelled to take things. I almost feel like I'm taking things in order to replace things that were taken from me.
Colleen has always worked in high-stress, top-skilled professional positions in law firms. Married for 15 years, she is a mother and grandmother. She has been stealing for over 21 years.
Security scan men, security scan men.
Stealing is a taboo which occurs in all cultures. So what is the lure that draws us to thieve?
Something for nothing. That's really what shoplifting comes down to. Can I get this without paying for it? It really comes down to a risk versus reward. That's why one of the things a shoplifter will say when you first stop them is, "I'm sorry, I'll pay for it." Because they realized the risk wasn't worth the reward.
A shoplifting continuum exists. At one end are those who do it once in their lives. At the other, those who are diagnosed as kleptomaniacs. There are no distinguishing features concerning who belongs to which group. And to those on the outside observing, the behaviour is identical.
Basically, you have 3 or 4 types of shoplifters. You have the one that snatches and what we call a snatch and run, where they grab the clothing and run out the store. And then you got what we call the buy one, get one free. And then you got some that bring in their own bags, you know, from the previous shop in here.
Oh, I love those babies, and they're so cute and pink. Pink, I love this. just so sweet.
A lot of times when they'll drape the clothing over their bag.
Oh my God, look at this. Just like my bedroom when I was a little girl. Purple roses. If only it had a white background, that would be perfect.
And then the items that she takes, she's not really looking over the item. She's just grabbing it and putting it over her arm.
Yeah, she's
so
not,
that's a dead
paying any
giveaway
attention to the size or price.
Oh my God, precious. Absolutely precious.
So she just looked around again.
I'm not going to really worry about the cameras here because I'm not going to put these things in the bag yet. So I'm really not concerned. I don't see any salespeople around. They're not really paying attention to me, so apparently they don't care, you know. So I guess these are getting a little heavy.
I don't know where she's going to bag all that stuff. All that's not going to fit in her bag. You might want to call the security operator.
Camera room to security.
Go ahead, Norman.
Yeah, I have a female. She's got long brown shoulder hair. She's wearing a flowered dress.
Fine. You keep watching her and let me know what goes on.
10th floor.
I don't see anybody watching me. No cameras are straight in view. I mean, they sort of are, but not really. I'll just set these down for a minute and kind of get out of the camera view a little.
That's what she carries a bag in her purse?
Yeah.
Get the bag out real quick. Open it up. And I can't, after all this work, walking around, doing all this work, I absolutely cannot leave without this darling little thing.
Excuse me, ma'am, store security. I'd like to talk to you if you could come up to
no.
to my office with me,
I can't do this right now.
I'm sorry.
I really can't do this
Come
right
to the
now.
office with me.
I can't. I just can't.
Just this way.
Oh, please don't let me. Just let me go. Please, just let me go. I was going to buy them. I was going to buy them. I can't. I can't do this.
I feel like just an ordinary person, but I know in my heart that I'm not like everybody else because I feel this terrible secret inside of me.
The shame, the embarrassment, people looking at me, you know, my neighbours, just the embarrassment of what people are thinking.
Even tears in my husband's eyes and tears in my sister's eyes and in my mother's eyes, even that hasn't stopped me.
While most of us have shoplifted at least once in our lives, when on the shoplifting spectrum does this secretive antisocial behavior become a disorder?
Kleptomania is considered an impulse control disorder. People who engage in impulsive behavior have very strong impulsive drives. They have a defect in the ability to calculate the risk versus the reward of their behavior. They have a deficit in the ability to delay or inhibit acting on impulse.
I've heard people say that they get a thrill out of it or elation. I don't. I get a little bit of a thrill when I get home and look at all my stuff, because when I'm actually doing it, I'm not even aware of how much I have. I would just see something that struck my fancy, and I would just decide that I had to have it, you know, no matter what. And if somehow I'm interrupted and kept from having that particular item, I get very frustrated and I get angry.
People with kleptomania, you know, have a high level of arousal from the stealing itself, and it's not the object itself that's necessarily the object of the whole exercise. It's the arousal, stimulation, risk and reward, coming as close as they can to the line without crossing over it. That is the whole drive for the behavior, not necessarily the objects. Because many times these individuals can afford to buy these objects without any kind of a struggle.
I don't really have anything in particular in mind that I want to get, but I just want to get some things to take my mind off, I don't know, my feeling a little bit sad, feeling a little bit empty, kind of lonely.
People have behaviors or they have symptoms. They don't have a disorder unless these things become time-consuming. It's associated with a lot of distress, and it causes interference with functioning. Then it's a disorder.
As I see people laughing and having fun together, shopping, enjoying themselves in the whole ambience of shopping and having a little bite to eat, I've never in my life been able to do that, because when I go to shopping, it's almost like a job. Here we are coming upon the closest mall to me, and this is a mall where I've spent many, many hours a day. I would be on my feet in the stores for so many hours that my feet would ache. My arms would be aching from carrying the things, but I would continue until the stores closed, or until my car was so full that I couldn't put anything else in it.
Kleptomania actually has a long history, and I think people forget that. People tend to think of it as another example of how psychiatry is pathologizing criminal behavior. But in fact, it goes back a long way. The first legal case that we know of that was most likely a kleptomaniac is from 1799 in England. At that point, that's sort of the case that created the archetype. It was an elderly woman who was very wealthy, who was stealing some very insignificant items, even though the cost of the items was significant enough that it classified it as a felony in England. And she was potentially could have been punished by either long jail term or hanging. And at that time, part of the defense was, why would a woman who had plenty of money do this? And it seemed so ludicrous to people that she was acquitted.
With the development of the department store, you have a new institution where people can come in freely. People are encouraged to come into the department store. They are encouraged to browse. They are encouraged to look around, all of which is very different than earlier kinds of shops. A lot of women went into these stores and they were overwhelmed with the sights, the sounds, and the smells, and the opulence of the stores. The problem began to emerge when middle-class women walked into these stores and started lifting merchandise. It was the female angle that was new and the class angle.
At one time, it was seen as a woman's problem, which had to do with her physiology.
If they were diagnosed as kleptomaniacs, understood to be kleptomaniacs, they came into the hands of the medical profession. Kleptomania was seen as a constellation of symptoms, but they were medical symptoms. It wasn't theft for the same reasons people normally steal. It was seen as a medical condition.
As so many lonely women were being diagnosed with stealing madness, or kleptomania, in the early 1900s, it was thought that the new treatment of psychoanalysis was the cure.
When psychoanalysis became very popular, kleptomania was often seen as one of the targets of possible treatment through psychoanalysis, particularly because women were the target. The way that kleptomania is described at that time, and still has some validity, is as this increasing tension before a theft, with then release of the tension and calm after the theft. Well, this obviously has a trajectory that looks very much like a sexual orgasm.
The Freudian descriptions of it are far more sexual. There's a lust quality in it. There's almost a panting quality to understanding this issue of kleptomania and why women would feel this need to take the goods. It was a great change. The earlier period was that women's physiology was to blame. When Freud comes into it, the change is it's not their uterus, it's not their ovaries that become involved. It's not hysteria in the classic sense, but it sounds to me much more overtly sexual.
This overt sexual interpretation has been more or less discounted. Today, kleptomania is classified as an impulse control disorder, and research indicates that there's a strong correlation between impulse control disorders and other disorders such as obsessive-compulsive and eating disorders. Research into the way our brains develop is beginning to shed light as to why some people are vulnerable to impulse control disorders.
As species evolved from reptiles up to humans, there was a dramatic growth in the cortex, the outer layers of the brain, and particularly the frontal lobes. And the frontal lobes developed to allow species to function in social networks. And one very important role of the frontal lobes is to be able to put the brakes on more primitive limbically driven impulses. Now, one problem with people who have impulse control problems, like kleptomania, is that their limbic function is highly activated, which is driving them to engage in impulsive, pleasurable activities. But their frontal lobes are not efficiently functioning. There's a net deficit in the metabolic activity of their frontal lobes.
The average person suffering from kleptomania is not wildly mentally ill. They're able to meet the ordinary demands of life. You can't tell who's a kleptomaniac just from looking, unlike with patients suffering from other very serious mental illnesses. They're able to get up in the morning, get dressed, go to work, do their business, and go home.
This is our recreation room. Right now it's just a sort of storage for I'm planning on having a garage sale, giving most of this stuff away, but all of this stuff is, most of it, if not all, is stolen. And things that I don't need or use or even want. I took this buggy from a department store, foot spa, patterns. I have thousands of clothes patterns, and this is expensive perfume that I didn't even like the smell of, that was never even used, that I don't want. Everything on this dresser is stolen, everything. With the exception of this, that was from my husband. The drapery, all of my bed linens, and I've got lots and lots of bed linens. These little lamps were stolen. The phones, every phone we have, every phone we've ever had, I've stolen. The answering machines, ashtrays, candles. I have boxes and boxes of candles.
What I found is that these are people with tremendous drives to fill up feelings of emptiness, boredom, social isolation, poor interpersonal skills.
I've stolen things like, kite, and how often do I go flying kites? Never. Half of these clothes never even get worn. I've got clothes with the tags still on them. I counted up my dolls, and 15 of these dolls were stolen.
These are people that don't need to be told that they're wrong. They know it. They know it. They fear their behavior. This notion that people are out there having a great time taking things that don't belong to them, it's another myth. This is not a pleasant disorder to have.
On the shoplifting continuum, there seems to be a whole spectrum of reasons why people engage in this criminal, antisocial act. For financial reward, on a dare, to feed a family, for kicks.
People who have absolutely no remorse, who take pride in their art of stealing, those aren't kleptomaniacs. Kleptomaniacs are people that come to you and say, I am engaged in a shameful behavior that has brought nothing but pain and suffering to me and to my family.
It's terrifying not having the control over your own behavior. It's frightening. It's infuriating. It makes me angry at myself. It makes my family angry at me. They love me, but they're angry because they don't want me causing this pain to myself. And it hurts to know that I'm causing them pain. I guess you could run the gamut of emotions that I feel about this illness, this disease, whatever it is, this addiction.
Kleptomania is really the tip of the pathological iceberg. And what I mean by that is that these are people who have had lifelong significant dysphorias or depressions, long-term smoldering depressions. They don't like themselves very much. They don't do well with other people. They may have other kinds of rotating addictive-like behaviors. They have horrific anxiety. They may have social anxiety. They may have difficulty with other people in sexual or intimate relationships. So there's a whole host of other kinds of problems that these people face.
It was a vicious cycle of getting pretty things to look pretty and have this image of a good person and a quality person. I wanted to appear as a quality person, but inside I was feeling less and less. I dream about stealing all the time. I don't steal things out of need or even things that I want. I mean, it's more like I have to take in order to feel.
I would never do it, because I'm too scared I'm going to get caught.
I think that if you steal, you're risking your whole life sometimes.
I don't think it's right. I know 2 girls that they shoplift about every day, and they tried to get me involved, and I just said no.
55% of adults who are caught shoplifting say that they started when they were in their teens.
What did I steal? A pair of jeans.
Yeah, I really have a couple times.
You just take off the price tag.
When we get to be teenagers, we find ourselves caught up in the whole idea that shoplifting is not really a crime and that we really, as a rite of passage, we need to go with our fellow students and do this. And we need to be good at it.
People steal just like to steal, just to think they're cool. So, I don't know, they steal all different stuff. Like girls steal makeup, guys steal like shirts, hats, shorts, even shoes. I know people have stolen shoes.
Many teenagers have sort of an oppositional or defiant streak where they really want to thumb their nose at authority figures and break rules.
They feel that they're big and bad because they did something and I didn't get caught for doing it.
I know a girl who's very, very privileged. She's had everything her whole life. She works hard at school all day, she keeps up her grades, and it's the one thing she does that her parents don't want her to do.
In addition to that, teenagers have strong hormonal factors that are associated with rapid changes in their bodies, and they haven't fully developed effective adult mechanisms to put the brakes on their primitive limbically driven impulses, so they're at increased risk for shoplifting.
If someone would dare you to do it and then they don't do it, you're kind of looked at as like a wuss, kind of like you're too scared to do it, and so people would probably like look down on you more.
I can say that I've shoplifted, yes. I never got caught. Oh, I take that back. I did by my mother when I was 4. The very, very typical thing that happens, we as children find ourselves, we are getting everything we need, and then we go into a store, and it's kind of an interesting phenomena. We pick up the candy bar, and somehow we know that we shouldn't be picking up the candy bar from the store. We stick it in our pockets, and of course, in my situation, halfway home, I started rustling it, and my mother takes me back to the store manager. I have to apologize and give him back the candy bar. It's funny that that embarrassment doesn't stick with us completely for the rest of our lives. It should, but it doesn't.
I have a single episode that I can remember when I was about 8 years old, where I engaged in an episode where I took a tape measure. And I remember that actually because it was associated with this profound sense of guilt, this feeling like I'd done something terribly wrong.
Early on, people recognize that certain behaviors thrill them, that it sort of turns them on, that there's something about engaging maybe in stealing with other adolescents, that unlike other adolescents who steal and then stop the behavior after a couple of years, kleptomaniacs tend to be turned on by that, and they know that that's rewarding. And that's what then leads to their behavior lasting. I think often they come on it by chance.
It started when I first started going to college. I just stole a mascara and I got away with it, and it's all started from there really. That one little mascara just gave me an overwhelming feeling of power and control and made me feel I was something special. Even though the act was wrong, to have that little thing made me feel more liked inside, and I could like myself a bit more.
Rose is 25 years old and has been stealing for 5 years. Currently she does voluntary work with troubled young people. Studies seem to indicate that in addition to the thrill of stealing, there are other behavioural characteristics which are shared by those who are diagnosed with this illness.
The pattern that I saw was that most everybody was female, probably around 80% of them. They were all extraordinarily preoccupied with the issue of secrecy, which I traced back and found that not only was this a major secret, but they also had other secrets. And some of those other secrets included eating disorders, history of promiscuity that they didn't want anyone to know about, drug abuse, tumultuous home lives, things like that. It was what I call a maladaptive way of self-soothing and self-gratifying.
When I was a child, I never stole anything. I never really had any problems. It was only until I was in my sort of teenage years that I started having, these compulsive behaviours like the anorexia and the cutting and the self-harming, and the shoplifting. My childhood was pretty much normal until we moved away and I went to a new school, and during my school years I experienced sexual abuse and physical abuse. The shoplifting acts as, for me, a coping mechanism to help deal and shut out those feelings of worthlessness and anger, disgust with myself that those things happened.
Men and women who are exposed to the same traumas during youth will, in fact, take two different roads as they develop. Women tend to turn tumult inwards towards themselves. They tend to self-mutilate when they're ill. They tend to steal. They tend to do things that are harmful to themselves, whereas men tend to be more explosive. They develop explosive.
The key questions I have is what's going on in their mind when they steal something. Are they preoccupied with stealing? Do they have urges to steal? I think this is essential in understanding kleptomania.
I mean, every day I would probably wake up with the feeling of just really panicky and anxious to get something. Nothing in particular, no real plan to go anywhere. I just needed to be somewhere where I could take something. And I mean, that anxiety would just stay with me. It would just build and build until I almost felt sick. I was taking things and shoplifting because it made me feel better about myself inside. It made me able to face the world. It was like a drug, really. I just couldn't stop taking it. Each day I just needed more and more. Taking the things like the clothes and the makeup I thought would outwardly make me look better and make me feel better. But then I'd take them home and feel so bad about what I'd done, I wouldn't do anything with them.
Kleptomania, though classified as a mental illness, still presents itself in the eyes of the law as a criminal act. In the retail industry, the economics of shop shrinkage disregards the spectrum of why people might steal in the first place. More merchandise is stolen from American stores every 6 months than was ever taken from all the total bank robberies over the last 200 years. With approximately $10 billion a year stolen from shops in America, impacting on prices charged in stores, it's no surprise that loss prevention officers are sceptical.
No, I've never come across a kleptomaniac.
Maybe one. I can think of one that I had suspicions she was a kleptomaniac. She had no reason to be taking the merchandise she was taking, and she took quite a bit of it. She was in the store for approximately 3 hours and concealed a little over $500 worth of just jewelry. And she was very well-to-do. She took care of herself, drove a nice car. Her husband was a doctor, I believe, and he made good money. But when you talk to her, the logic or the reasons as to what she was doing, she really couldn't offer anything, and she seemed pretty confused by the whole process. And I think it was just the compulsion. I mean, she just saw it and took it. That would be the closest thing I can think of. But most shoplifters, there's some logic behind what they're doing. They offer some explanation or some rationale, but she couldn't at all, not even close.
Yes, Control. I have an IC2 female, approximately 5354, leaving the store in
The United Kingdom, plagued by the worst shoplifting statistics in Europe, uses some of the most sophisticated surveillance technology in the world.
Yeah, also I've got a visual, keep an eye on her. Can you confirm there's any goods on board?
In many towns and cities in the UK, the high streets are being monitored by continuous closed-circuit coverage, CCTV, all linked in partnership to a central headquarters where shoppers and thieves alike can be watched.
We know what CCTV can see, the shops can tell CCTV and us what's going on, and the partnership works together to make it as difficult as is possible for the thief in town.
With all the research and technology going into stopping those who steal, the same effort hasn't gone into understanding that there is a spectrum of reasons for why people might shoplift.
I've never actually come across anyone who's told me or been diagnosed as being a kleptomaniac. I've dealt with numerous people who feel the need to commit crime on a daily basis, very often just for the buzz of it. There's no financial reason for them to be committing the crime. They're doing it for the buzz. But never ever have I come across anyone who said I'm a kleptomaniac or show me a doctor's certificate as such.
The last time that I got caught shoplifting was about a year ago. It had got really bad, you know, it was every day, twice a day, sometimes more. It had got so bad that my whole life just revolved around it. And this one day, it was a Friday, it was quite late in the day. I was walking home and suddenly I just had that really bad anxiety feeling of wanting to get something right then. So I went into this one store and I just picked up this silly little cushion thing and put it into my bag. I walked out of the store and two security guards approached me and said, "You left the store without paying for something." Just admitted to it, you know, I just sort of said, yeah, there's something in my bag. So I walked back to the store with them. And then, you know, the same thing, the police came. We went back to the police station and I was in the police cell for ages. And then one of the police who arrested me sort of said, "We're going back to your flat because we know you've done this before and we've just got suspicions that there might be some more things at your flat." And I said, "Yeah, there's lots of stuff at my flat." There were hundreds of items, from clothes to stationery to makeup. And I really don't, you know, the value was probably, again, into thousands. Even the police could see it was a problem. So that was really hard to deal with, you know, seeing it all. Because obviously I blanked it out in my head. And I just burst into tears. Because I just thought, I really need to get some proper help.
I don't even remember when I started, maybe 7, 8 years ago. I don't remember. And what possessed me to go into wherever it was and go into the men's department and take 2 ties, I really don't know. I was raised in a good household. I was taught values. I'm reasonably successful in my business. I live reasonably well. I'm ashamed to tell people this. I don't have the courage to tell them, what are you nuts? What are you stealing for?
There's a great deal of denial associated with these problems, saying, this is not a problem, I can handle it. And they often don't come into treatment until they've hit bottom. There are negative consequences. They've been arrested, they have legal problems, their spouse is about to divorce them, and they're driven into treatment by a family member or an employer or the legal system.
The judge, when they sentenced me, told me that if I were to be arrested again, I would go to jail for 7 months to a year. And that would be the end of my life. It's the end of my business. My lady friend would no doubt leave me. I don't know what I would tell my sons. I don't know what I would tell my grandsons.
People who come to us for treatment or consultation are usually people who have already been apprehended. They may have been punished by the penal system already. They may be on probation. They may have been in and out of prison. So treatment is very tricky in kleptomania.
I don't believe you're born this way. I think that you learn it, or you try it and it works. That's what happened with me. I tried it for like an escape valve, and it worked. It doesn't work forever. It doesn't work forever.
There has been very little written about kleptomania. Up until recently, our understanding was based on a medical literature sample size of 80 patients. Currently, there are only 3 or 4 places in the world which study this disorder. Once thought to be extremely rare, this view is now shifting.
There has been a real growth in terms of our understanding of many of the impulse control problems, like kleptomania, for example, or compulsive shopping. And these things used to be considered very rare, and they used to be considered untreatable. Now we know that they're much more common than previously believed, and that there may be effective treatments for many individuals with these problems.
I've been shoplifting on and off for about 20 years. I've sought treatment for the past 10 years. I see a psychologist. I'm on medication. I'm just like you or anybody else you may know. I've met so many people in so many walks of life. I mean, some of them so successful, and yet they have this problem. Some people do it for attention. Some people do it for self-punishment. Some people do it for just something to do. There's so many different reasons. It's so complex. There is not one reason. My therapist seems to feel that I do it because I come from a family like that, and it's my connection to them, and I won't let go of this connection. But everything, it's very complex. There's no one reason.
We believe that there is a basic brain circuitry that's involved in mediating impulsively driven behaviors. When we treat patients with kleptomania, there are a number of different medication interventions that we can utilize to alter the activity of these different brain circuits and allow individuals to better delay or inhibit acting on impulse.
The drug therapies have a varying degree of success.
The urges are part of my life. I go to bed with them, I wake up with them, I live with them. I'm on it's something for obsessive compulsive disorder, and truthfully, I don't think it's working. But I do take it faithfully. It's not something that I'll give up, because who knows without it what it would be like. And I can go a few days and be okay, and then all of a sudden I've got to get out there.
My fear is that people are going to kind of focus on brain chemistry and how can we stop kleptomania. What drug can we give to stop people from stealing? Fortunately and conversely, people have also started looking at kleptomania from the standpoint of the whole person. What can we do to treat the whole person?
I do belong to a support group that I cherish because it's somewhere to go and share these feelings with, and people that understand, and that's one of the places where you can open up and not feel so ashamed.
So how often are you shoplifting? Every day, every other day, every few days?
I try not to go out every day, because if I do go out every day, I probably will. So I try to go out maybe 3-4
Shoplifters
times a week.
Alternative, SA, a support group, meets once a month and offers those who have often never spoken about their illness a chance to be heard.
I'm feeling anxious.
Such is their shame
Feeling,
that this is the first time they have allowed filming.
Feeling like a failure.
We just educate them regarding what stealing means to them. The shoplifting that they're involved in has to do with the issues in their life with which they're having difficulty. It is something we have all experienced at different times in our lives, and that's why there is no profile of a shoplifter, because the profile could be any one of us, because we all experience these things. The difference is that we handle them at a different level.
In the US, where most of the research is being done on those who persistently shoplift, there is a growing recognition that there may be a wide range of different kinds of treatment.
Other forms of treatment include psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and all kinds of other talking sorts of therapy. And I think those are really excellent because they help identify some of the major issues in a patient's life that may or may not have led to these kinds of behaviors.
In the UK, it's harder to find this kind of support.
I think maybe they just don't know how to help me, because it's not something they maybe come across every day, because it's such a difficult thing to talk about. I mean, there are probably lots of people out there with the same sort of problem, but I just want to keep it a secret.
I would like people to try to understand that this is a problem, not only for me, but in society. I realize I do the wrong thing, and I realize there's a fine to be paid, but I don't think there's anybody that can punish us more than we punish ourselves. I really don't.